Well, it took the better part of a year, but we here in the US finally got access to Sponge on the Run, and it was pretty.
And experience SpongeBob's biggest adventure ever.
Gary, we're coming for you! Sorry.
Seize them!
Patrick, what are you doing?
Free food!
The all-new SpongeBob movie, Sponge on the Run, premiering March 4th. Rent it from these digital stores. Also streaming on Paramount Plus.
Most of the animation reviewers on YouTube have already covered Sponge on the Run in some form last year. And unfortunately, Perfect Cell came to town, and I wasn't able to watch it. And then this movie had the weirdest release schedule. First it was released to Canadian theaters, and then it was released internationally through Netflix, but not in the US. The US had to wait until Paramount Plus came out, where it was a launch exclusive. And Paramount Plus is interesting. I already have it because I had CBS All Access, and now instead of just CBS, it's basically all the Viacom companies. It's Nickelodeon, MTV, Comedy Central, BET, CBS, and then their exclusives like the series that spawned from this movie and this movie. And then, of course, all the CBS Access movies and shows are all exclusive to Paramount Plus as well. Those are their originals. But, yeah, the Paramount Plus is going to take some time for me to check out. The one thing I will say is trying to go through their movie library on Apple TV is insane because there's no organization to it at all. It is literally it's like there's no organization to the folder in any way possible. And they're just all over the place. They need some more organization, at least on the Apple TV app. I don't know if it's any different in any other place that Paramount Plus is at, but yeah, just the fact that you cannot you'll have to search. You may as well just search through the movies through the Apple TV search menu to find it. You're not going to find it. I don't think there's a search function in the Apple TV app. It's weird. But we'll see about Paramount Plus as time goes on, how good it will be comparatively to Netflix, Disney Plus, Hulu, Amazon Prime, all that stuff. But finally got to watch SpongeBob on the Run, so the biggest thing I noticed with this was just how gorgeous it looked. The animation style for the SpongeBob movies have been interesting because the first movie was the traditional hand-drawn style. Then the sequel movie mixed that style with live action and realistic CG. And now we're having a very stylized, almost claymation appearing CG animated movie. And that's the thing I'll give this movie. It is beautifully rendered, looks gorgeous to watch, especially in high definition. You can see the pores on SpongeBob's face, you can see the individual hairs almost in Sandy's fur. So much attention to detail was put into the animation and the character design and just everything. It was so beautifully rendered. And it's kind of disappointing that the rest of the movie wasn't as good. That's not to say it's bad. It's just there's a lot of recycled plots. Like the first SpongeBob movie was a whole new plot, not seen in the show, really. I mean, there's Plankton trying to steal the Krabby Patty secret formula, and Poseidon shows up. But it was like a road trip movie. They decided to do a road trip movie, which they hadn't done in the show. And so for this movie, it's a road trip story with celebrity cameos, and Plankton stealing the Krabby Patty secret formula, and Poseidon shows up. Third iteration, by the way. Well, I guess second iteration, because this is Poseidon, and I think this is Neptune? I'm not sure. SpongeBob has no continuity, so whatever. So much of it feels recycled. Like the fact that Gary goes missing, and SpongeBob has to find him. That's from the show. Most of the plot from this movie is basically the first movie, but again. The weird dream sequence in the Wild West, that feels like basically all SpongeBob's interactions with the Flying Dutchman. Even the bit with Atlantic City. We've done these sorts of things before, and the story does not feel up to par with everything else. Like, this is so beautifully animated, and you've seen these stories before. Like, why wouldn't you use this time to really dig your teeth into a new story? Well, mainly because they're trying to sell you Kamp Kor-I. New exclusive to Paramount Plus, Kamp Kor-I. I don't know how good Kamp Kor-I is going to be or is, but it does look like a step down from this and the actual TV show. And yeah, the fact that so much of this movie is dedicated as a backdoor pilot to Kamp Kor-I feels such a cheap cop-out. So we've got recycled plots from all these other SpongeBob stuff. So if you're an old fart like me, and you've seen these stories before, and then it's just a backdoor pilot for the rest of the movie, you feel left out. You feel let down. You feel like there wasn't much real interest, especially since there's a bit of an outcry from fans because Steven Hillenberger, who sadly passed away, went on record that he didn't want any SpongeBob spin-offs. So here's this movie leading into a SpongeBob spin-off that basically recycles old plots. It feels antithetical to Steven Hillenberger, but I mean, it's perfectly in line with corporate practices, so whatever. Not to mention the fact that I feel like the celebrity cameos weren't as good. Like, you had Scarlett Johansson and Jeffrey Tambor guesting in the first movie as actual characters, and then just David Hasselhoff shows up. Alec Baldwin is the villain, and so I mean, the celebrity, gets work. Here, Awkwafina is basically given the second Awkwafina movie I watched this weekend, oddly enough, but she's better in The Last Dragon than she is here. She's just told to talk like a robot, and I don't know why you get Awkwafina to just do a robot voice. At least with Sisu, she's able to, act. And then, of course, there's a Tiffany Haddish cameo that goes nowhere, and just to do a pun on her name. There's this guy from, he's in a bunch of British TV shows. He was the boss in the IT Crowd. He's playing Poseidon now. And then Keanu Reeves shows up. He's the big one they reveal in the trailer. But he shows up throughout the course of the second half of the movie. And each time it diminishes him showing up. Like the first time he showed up, great, clever, perfect. Then he just keeps coming back for some reason, and it feels weird. It would be like if David Hasselhoff showed up halfway through the first movie and then just kept showing up. It really runs out of course. They don't really have enough for Keanu Reeves to do to warrant him to keep coming back. So I don't know why. And then, of course, there's a couple of celebrity cameos in the dream sequence in the Wild West that don't really do anything or go anywhere. It's just, we have access to celebrities, so here they are, and there they go. So yeah, it feels like less thought was put into this movie outside of the animation. The animation, they put everything into making it look good, and hardly anything into making it, a good movie otherwise. So yeah, I think this is basically in line with modern SpongeBob. If you've been keeping up, it's very throw everything at the wall and see what sticks in terms of its humor and in terms of its storytelling. It just kind of boom, 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 just so manic in terms of its execution. And that's kind of how this movie is. This movie is very much in line, and in fact is directed by one of the guys who's been running SpongeBob, the actual show. So I mean, it's what you expect in terms of writing from the show currently. It just kind of sucks that we couldn't get something longer, something bigger from them, like we did with the first movie. So yeah, I still need to see the second one. That's not on Paramount Plus yet because, kind of like with Disney Plus, it just started, so they have to wait for the other contracts to all expire to bring stuff over. We'll see about Paramount Plus. This movie's fine. I think the first SpongeBob movie is on like HBO still or something. But yeah, I would sooner watch that first movie again. You get access to the whole series on Paramount Plus though, so there's that.